In today's class, we will learn what is push-down automata. In previous lecture, we have already seen what are context-free languages and what were the drawbacks of regular language, how we can overcome those drawbacks using context-free language. Now, here, at the end of the day, we need a machine or a type of automata which can accept our context-free language. Similarly, we have seen deterministic finite automata or DFA is a machine which can accept the regular languages. So the similar type of machine which is able to accept the context-free languages is called push-down automata. So how to describe it? If we consider one non-deterministic finite automata with epsilon transition, we have already seen what is a non-deterministic finite automata with epsilon transition, and if we add one more property to it, that means if we add one more property to non-deterministic finite automata with epsilon transition, that becomes PDA or push-down automata. What is that extra property? We will just add one memory with it. Why? Because in case of regular languages, we have seen for those type of language, say a to the power n, b to the power n, where some memory is required to remember something, that is, if we have to compare the number of a's with number of b's, at first we have to keep in mind what were the number of a's we have already traversed so far, then only we can compare it with the number of b's, right? So here there is a need of memory, and that is stack. We will incorporate stack into epsilon NFA, and that will become our PDA. Again, you will get confused that when we will design two types of PDA, one is deterministic, another is non-deterministic. Do not worry at all, since better version, or not better, higher version of DFA can be NFA, right? NFA has all the property that a DFA has. DFA is a minimized form ultimately. So similarly, when we will design deterministic PDA, it will be a minimized form or a refined form of in NFA, in PDA only, means non-deterministic PDA only, right? So we will see both kind of PDA. Do not get confused, but if we have to define PDA, firstly we will just focus on it is an epsilon NFA with a stack or with the memory, right? So what are the operations that we can perform in stack? We all know that stack can push, stack can pop, stack can read what are the symbols present in the top, right? So here the stack will do the same job. It will push some symbols, it will pop some symbols, it will read the topmost element, and so on. We will see how it works in this case. So firstly we will define our PDA informally. We have already defined it that it is a push down automata, is a non-deterministic finite automata with epsilon transition, and with one additional property that it can store a symbol, right, in the stack present. The presence of stack means, unlike the finite automata, push-down automata can remember an infinite amount of information. But remember, there is also a drawback of push-down automata. It can remember infinite amount of information, but the expression should be of the form a to the power n, b to the power n, or something that compares two different criteria, say a to the power n, b to the power m, c to the power n, d to the power m, possible, because we are comparing the number of a's with number of c's and number of b's with number of d's, but because m and n are two different variables, right? But if the situation is like this, a to the power n, b to the power n, c to the power n, PDA is incapable of processing this kind of languages, because it has to remember two different things, the number of a's, number of b's, and number of c's. It is not possible, because it can pop, the popping criteria is possible in only from the topmost element. It is possible in stack, right? It cannot move in two different directions. There are more machines we will learn in our sequence lectures, where we will see that there are machines which can move in two directions. We will see it, but for now we have to concentrate on PDA only. So it can remember infinite amount of information provided the comparison is done between two different types of symbols. Okay, right. So what I already told you, that unlike general purpose computer, which also has the ability to remember the arbitrarily large amount of information, the push-down automata can only access the information on its stack in a last in first way out. We all know the property of stack, so I have already explained these 2 points, that it is only able to compare two different symbols at a time. That is, if the situation comes that it has to compare between 3 or 4 or more, it is incapable of doing the same. Right? So there are many languages that there are many tasks which a computer can perform but a PDA cannot. So PDA is not equivalent to a computer. When we will learn our next module, that is Turing machine, we will be able to know that Turing machine is equivalent to a computer. It can do all the jobs which a computer can does. Okay, which a computer does, a Turing machine can do everything, but a PDA there is restriction. To regular finite automata there are restrictions, and for now we will just focus on all those languages which is only comparing between two different symbols. Right? Now as I have already given you the example, that is 1 to the 0 to the power n, 1 to the power n, 2 to the power n. I have given you the example of a to the power n, b to the power n, c to the power n. Same case, it's not a context free language, because you see here the machine needs to compare the number of zeros with number of ones and number of twos, so it has to remember two different things, but popping can be done from one end only, so we can scan only either 0 or 1, not both at a time. So PDA is incapable of processing this kind of language. So this is not a context free language. The language which cannot be processed by a PDA, obviously that will not be a context free language. Okay. Now if we have to see PDA diagrammatically, it will be like this. It has finite state control similar to that of finite automata, right? And it is obviously we are designing an NFA with epsilon transition, means it can also process epsilon inputs. Why it is needed, we will see in our later slides. So it is see, the input is feeding into the input finite state control, and it is comparing with the stack. Why it is not processing with the stack? Because whatever symbol it is scanning, either it has to push, or based on it has to pop something from the stack, or if it reads some epsilon input, what it has to do. So based on these operations, it will ultimately accept or reject, right? Now it is already, this slide is explaining what we have seen in the previous slide. It has a finite state control, it is reading input and obviously one symbol at a time, because it cannot scan more than one. And the push down automata is allowed to observe the symbol at the top of the stack and to base its transition on its current state, the input symbol and the input at the top of the stack. So as we've seen in the finite automata, what it does, it also scans a particular symbol at a time, and based on whatever symbol it is scanning and based on which state it is at the present, the transition is made by the machine. Similarly, the PDA will also do the same thing, but only if the situation is like this. For this symbol, it has to remember it, right? It may move to some other state, or it may stay back to its own state. That is not the question here, but we have to decide whether we have to remember that or not. We have to just pop it off. So it needs a stack, right? So based on whatever symbol it is scanning, whatever state it is in, it has to define either it will push or pop based on the whatever the symbol is there at the top of the stack. Okay. Alternatively, it makes a spontaneous transition using epsilon as its input instead of input symbol. So in DFA this was not possible, but we have seen in case of epsilon NFA, for symbol say epsilon, it can make one transition. Similarly here the same thing is possible. We'll see whenever we will see an example, the concept will be much clearer. Okay. So consumes from the input symbol, it uses in the transition. If epsilon is used for input, then no input symbol is consumed. It's very easily understandable. So if we see that the top of the stack is epsilon, it is not consuming any input symbol, means but in other words, if the symbol scanned is epsilon, it has no job with the stack, means it is not going to consume any of the symbols there present in the stack, right? Because epsilon means there is no input symbol fed into the machine. It may goes to a new state which may or may not be same as the previous state. It may stay in the same state or may move to the other state. We will see how to design it according to our requirement. We will mark this transition whether to stay back in its own state or to move to other state. Now it may replace a symbol at the top of the stack by any string. The string could be epsilon, which corresponds to pop of the stack. So now you can understand that if we fed epsilon to the machine, it will do what? Here epsilon means it will pop something from the stack. If you fed any input symbol to the machine, it obviously will keep on storing to the stack, but once it recognizes the epsilon, it will pop something from the stack. Okay, it could be the same symbol that appeared at the top of the stack previously and no change to the stack is made. So if it means the same symbol appears, right? If it scans the same symbol again, so that there will be no change in the top of the stack. If one different symbol is scanned, then only there will be a change in the top of the stack, otherwise the previous situation will be there. Okay, now it could also replace the top of the stack symbol by one other symbol which in effect changes the top of the stack but does not push or pop it. You will get confused, but when we will see the example, you can just compare with the points what we are reading now with the example, how it is working. Best say, I can give you one example now. Say we are comparing a to the power n, b to the power n. So how we can design? Whenever we are scanning the symbols a, we can just keep on pushing it, right? But if we see one b, we can pop a, because otherwise how we can compare between a and b, right? If we keep on pushing a, and whenever we are recognizing each b, we will just keep on popping a. So if the number of b is finished and the stack also reaches at the bottom line, means there is no more element in the stack, then we can say that number of a's and number of b's are equal. So here this situation you can compare with this situation. It will also replace the top of the stack symbol by one other symbol which in effect changes the top of the stack but does not push it or pop it. Fine. So here I have given an example of popping. Okay, here one more example can be given. Say we have seen one such situation is there that here a to the power n, c, b to the power n, right? So here the language is c, we do not have to remember anything. So it will change, it may change the top of the stack when we read c, but we do not need to remember c here, right? We have to remember the number of a's here. So this can be one example. Finally, the top stack symbol could be replaced by two or more symbols, which has the effect of possibly changing the top stack symbol and then pushing one or more new symbols into the stack. This can be possible in the situation like, say, a to the power n, b to the power m, c to the power n, d to the power m. Here, whenever we'll keep on, we have to remember both a and b, because we have to compare a with c and b with d. So here the top of the stack can be replaced with more symbols, more than one. Okay, the next we will see an example. See, this is a context-free language. It is doing what? It is generating the string on 1 and 0, and based on it we will accept those language which is like this, that is a string followed by its own reverse. Fine. So it can be, what can be the production rules? It can be empty directly, because it the situation is like this, 0 plus 1 star, because there can be either 0 or 1 or no, nothing, right? So empty string will also be accepted, and the other two situations will be it may start with 0 and end with 0, or it may start with 1 end with 1, because otherwise the reversing is not possible. Okay, now how to design this one? What we can do, we can start in a state q0 that represents a guess that we have not yet seen the middle, that is, we have not seen the end of string w, because to compare these two, we have to reach the middle, because we ultimately have to reach the end of w, right? After reading w, we can start with wr to compare. So here we will firstly design one NFA, and we with the concept of stack, right? So what we can do, we can keep on, we will start with the initial state, namely q0, and we'll keep on guessing that we have not yet seen the middle, so we'll be there only, q0 only. While in state q0, we read symbols and store them on the stack by pushing a copy of each input symbol onto the stack in turn. So I have already told you that we will firstly guess that we have not reached the middle of the string, and we will, whatever symbol we are seeing, we will keep on pushing it into the stack. Next, at any time we may guess that we have seen the middle, that is the end of w. Remember, here we are designing non-deterministic PDA. So here we are following the guess and check paradigm, what we have learnt in our regular language or finite automata section. Here we will guess that we have seen the middle of w. Next guess we have to make that we have seen the middle, because firstly we have make the guess we have not seen the middle. So what we can do, at this time w will be on the stack with right end of the w top and left end at the bottom. Obviously, whenever we have scanned w from left to right, we kept on pushing it into the stack. So leftmost part of w is now the bottom of the stack, and rightmost part is the top of the stack. Now we signify this choice as spontaneously going to q1. Now, since we are guessing that we have reached the middle of the stack, so what we have to do, we have to make one transition, because our job is to accept those strings which is a string followed by its own reverse. So we have to compare whether the w is means the first part of the string is the reverse in its second part or not. So here a transition is required. Otherwise, if we keep on pushing again into the stack, we cannot compare. So we have to make one transition. But the situation may be like this, that our guess is wrong, that we have not reached the middle of the string. So since it is non-deterministic, we will make two transition. One, by guessing that we have reached the middle, we will move to q1, and if our, by any chance if our guess is wrong, we will make another transition and we'll keep on q0. Now, once in state q1, we compare input symbols with the symbol at the top of the stack. If they match, we consume the input symbol, pop the stack and proceed. Means, say the string was like this, 1001, 1001. Fine. So if we have considered that 1001 is w, and again 1001 is wr, so what we will see, we have pushed 1001, means 1001, 1 at the bottom and 1 at the top. Next symbol scanned is 1, so it is matching. We will pop. Right now, which symbol will be scanned? 0. What is there in the stack? Top of the stack? 0. Again we will pop. In this fashion, if it matches, then we will see, okay, our guess is right. Right. If our guess was wrong, then it will not match. Right, and this branch dies, although other branch of the non-deterministic automaton may survive and eventually lead to acceptance. Means, if our guess was wrong, means the transition moving to q1 on believing that we have reached the middle of this string is wrong, and we can stay at q0 only and wait for the next chance to guess whether we have we are at the middle of the string or not. Or else, if we keep on only on the q0, means the string is not like this, that w followed by wr, it will never be accepted by our PDA. Next, fourth point is, if we empty the stack, then we have indeed seen some input w followed by wr. what I have told you, that if the string is like this 1001 and 1001, so after coming to the fourth symbol, that is the second one in the string, we can move to q1 and keep on popping. So if we keep on popping like this, after 4 pops my stack will be empty. Then we can easily say that okay, my string has been accepted, and we are with the same string which we wanted, which we were waiting for, right? So the stack will be empty at the last. So in this fashion you can design it. Now if we have to define PDA formally, it can be denoted by this symbols. Q is a finite state symbol like finite automata, and this will be a finite input symbol such as sigma. And this tau is a new feature here. It is a finite stack symbol. This component has no finite automation along with it, and is a set of symbols that we are allowed to push into the stack. These are the finite stack alphabet, means what alphabets are is granted here and what are not, right? So it was not there with the finite automata, because finite automata does not has any concept of your stack, right? So stack alphabet means what are the alphabets that we can store in the, that are permissible to be stored in the stack. Now here delta is a transition function. As for finite automata, delta governs the behavior of the automaton. Formally, delta takes an argument. Here it will take a triple argument, because in finite automata there was no question of stack. Here our stack is a new criteria that we have added with the finite automata to make it PDA. In previously we have seen that with an input symbol and whatever state it is in, transition was decided accordingly. Here one more feature is added, that is x. X is what? X is a stack symbol. Do not get confused between tau and x. Tau is all the set of, or all the stack alphabets, those are permissible, means those symbols which we can store in stack. And here x means the top of the stack, or the stack symbol which we are processing. Fine. So it is a symbol that is a member of tau, means whatever the total input symbols there is in the pool of tau, one of them you can call it x, means during the processing whichever symbol is at the top of the stack, that will be treated as x. Okay. So based on whatever input symbol we are scanning, whatever state we are in, and whatever symbol is there at the top of the stack, the processing will be done accordingly. Fine. Next, the output of delta is a finite set of pairs p and your lambda, that is p is a new state and lambda is a string of stack symbols that replaces x at the top of the stack. The situation will be like this, that after delta processes, means with the input symbol and a state and the top of the stack, that is x, it will process something. What it will process, it may transit to other state, it may be its own state, whatever state it is in, it may be the previous state only, but a transition will be done. It may be in the same state, or it may move to different state, and it may replace the top of the stack also, that is denoted by lambda. Okay. For instance, if lambda is equals to epsilon, the stack is popped, and if lambda equals to x and the stack is unchanged, obviously if the same symbol is scanned, the stack top will be the same symbol only. If it is epsilon, we will pop, and if lambda is equals to yz, then x is replaced by z and y is pushed into the stack. What is the meaning of it? Here if two different symbols is read, right, and if your what to say, the new stack top is like this yz, means z means we previously assume that there is something in the stack. Okay. Here what we will do, z means, you will see in some examples that z means the bottom line of the stack, sometimes it is considered. So if lambda is equals to yz, that means x is getting replaced by yz. Why we are not replacing it with a single symbol but two? the meaning is like this: always we have to assume there is something in the stack that is z, right? If we pop something, and z also means that we have come to the bottom line of the stack. We will see in our example, if whenever we will read z, that means the initial element in the stack is represented with z. So here, if x is replaced with, we have to replace x with something, we will replace it with z first, and whatever symbol we have to keep on the stack now, that is determined by y. Means the top of the stack will be y now, but z is the bottom line ultimately. Okay. Now we all know that q0 is a start state. Z0 is a start symbol. Initially the PDA stack consists of one of the instance of the symbol and nothing else. As I told you, here it is being denoted by Z0. It is just a start symbol, means you can say it is there in the stack only. We will not process anything for Z0, but to initiate the stack we will keep Z0 with it. So Z, whatever, whenever you want to replace something with some input top of the stack, you have to push Z first, then you can push the required symbol in it. And if is a set of accepting states or final states, similar to finite automata. Okay. Now we have seen the example of language that accepts the reverse of itself, and we will redesign it now. So to mark the bottom of the stack, we will start with Z0. We need to have this symbol present so that after we pop W off the stack and realize that we have seen WWR no on the input, right? Means how you can realize that there is no more W remains in the stack. So whenever we will encounter Z0, that means we can recognize that we have reached the bottom line of the stack and no more W is, or no more inputs from W string is there in the stack. So we can say that okay, it matches. For this we need the Z0. Fine. Here we are generating 3 states. Why we need 3 states? We will see once we see the transitions. We are depicting Q0 as the start state and Q2 is the final state. Q1 is the intermediate state, and two input symbols are there, 0 and 1, and that your stack alphabets permissible will be 0, 1, and by default Z0 will be there. Some transitions will be there, and rest are same. So this is our required formal PDA. Fine. So what can be the transitions? Say firstly we have encountered 0 at Q0, right? So what is the initial scenario of the stack? What it consists of? Z0, because by default Z0 stays there. Now what will be the transition? We will just push 0 into the stack, so it will be in the Q0 only. So the new state generated is Q0 and the top of the stack is 0. So this is the fashion in which we can represent that. For state Q0, if 0 is there and bottom the top of the stack is now Z0, means we have not pushed anything into the stack. It will be at the same state Q0 and then top of the stack will be 0. Similarly for 1, it will be 1 Z0, right? Now if the top of the stack is already 0 and we have seen 0, so we will do what? We will just push it, so it will be at Q0 only and the top of the stack will be 0, 0. If it is 0, 1, same, we are keep on pushing. So because we are at Q0 only, we are just making the guesswork. We will stay on Q0 for whatever input and we will see the change of the stack. See, if the previous symbol was 1 and we have seen 0, so it will be 1, 0. Similarly for 1, 1. These 4 situations can occur with Q0. Now if we have seen 1 epsilon and previously it was Z0, so for epsilon what we have to do? We have to make one transition because we are popping. Epsilon means popping. So we will move to Q1 and the bottom of the stack will be, or the stack will now be Z0. So if the string is epsilon, so our initial state was Q0, and if the string is epsilon itself, you can say it will be accepted, because with one more epsilon transition, we can move to Q2 and can say that the string is being accepted. If the situation is like this, the top of the stack is 0 and we have encountered epsilon, what we will do? We will move to Q1, right? So what is the symbol scanned here? 0. So we will push it, because previously there was nothing in the stack. We will push 0. Now if it is 1, similarly for epsilon we have to make the transition, and this 1 will be the top now. Now if at Q1 we have scanned 0, why we are just popping it off? Because we have made the transition from Q0 to Q1 on seeing epsilon. Right, now at Q1 we have to compare, because we are ultimately moving to Q1 on basing on the case that we have reached the middle of the string. So here we will keep on popping. Let's see, whenever we are at Q1 we have seen 0, we will just pop whatever was there, and now there will be empty, the stack will be empty. Similarly for 1. Now if we have seen another, means whenever if the situation is like this, we have scanned the total string, means on guessing that we have reached the middle of the stack, we have moved to Q1 and kept on popping. We ultimately will find nothing remains with the string. So whenever this epsilon will be scanned, we will ultimately move to Z2 and we will see there is nothing remains in the Q0, right? Sorry, nothing remains in the stack, Z0 is there. So we are in Q2, so the string will be accepted. And this is the end of today's class. Next day we will learn how to represent our PDA graphically. Thank you.